Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News with Gen.G confirming their roster just the other day. We are now awaiting the official announcement from 100 Thieves as to who their new in-game leader is going to be. But we know that it's going to be Boostio, formerly of Evil Geniuses. Ethan also confirms that yet again, but also says some spicy words with regard to that team, just a couple of days after calling out Baby J for being the most toxic teammate that he's had, that Boostio required Ethan's performance in order to actually look like a good player. FNS also tends to agree that Boostio can't do all the work on 100T on his own. Is Ethan correct that with Ethan gone, Boostio will not look like the same IGL that he did on EG, the World Championship winning roster? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, hear from Jack here again, of course, co-founder, CEO over at Cloud9. We know they had a very interesting year in many different esports. Did they not like sell Shiro? I don't know exactly where these numbers are coming from, but I can't imagine that they would have been profitable unless they had a couple of nice, sales that they achieved. Let's not forget, though, in the Valorant world, they sent Ye to the absolute pits of hell to make this happen potentially. So as Jack Etienne says, 2023 has been an incredible year that brought Cloud9 back to profitability despite difficult conditions in our industry. So very interesting to hear him say this, but it's quite clear that from him saying this, that the requirement for profitability in some ways was kind of a necessity. I imagine that his investors were saying, look, Jack, here we are, we're paying Ye 300k, 400k, 500k a year, whatever the numbers potentially would have been. Is this really a good decision given the fact that the industry is in a tough spot? Sponsorship revenue is somewhat drying up, especially on the organizational side. And then, of course, they made the changes for role issues that the Cloud9 team had. Then, of course, was sent out of there, went to DSG. That didn't go so well. Now, of course, is on Bleed Esports with the opportunity, it seems, of a lifetime with the amount of money he's going to be making over there for the next couple of years, apparently. That's at least what Chet implied when NRG said they actually tried Ye, but, maybe that would have what they would have gone for instead of Demon 1 potentially, but in the end, he just had an offer too good to refuse. So I thought that was kind of funny, really, that, part of getting Cloud9 back to profitability and just maybe proving to some degree that that's an important aspect of these esports organizations right now, because not many can boast profitability at all. But there might be some other circumstances to exactly why that has occurred. Now, I wanted to share this clip for you guys from a Zellsis vlog from during the Africa TV tournament. This was really funny, I thought, and especially this particular clip I wanted to share here with pANcada. So they're having a bit of a back and forth, and it's nice to see that at least at the time, they kind of get on. Zellsis, pANcada having, nice little fun back and forth. But I'm sure that pANcada, sleeps at night thinking, damn, like this Zellsis guy, if he, broke his hand or something, then maybe that would help me out somewhat, because at the end of the day, he's taken pANcada's spot. I thought that his comments are pretty funny, 2022 world champion, obviously, MVP, as he said, of the tournament, and on Sentinel's bench. So that's the point from pANcada that, well, what about the future?
Anymore.
Brian, you are not MVP of champs.
I am.
Actually?
Yeah.
Is that why you got the wings?
Wings?
Yeah,
No.
like you were flying high?
No. Because I'm a Justin Bieber fan.
You're a Justin Bieber fan? How'd you look it up? Look it up. I want to see. I want to see pANcada MVP. See, there's nothing. By Spike. The Spike is fake, dude.
I had the best rating.
You were not the best,
had the
though.
best rating in the tournament.
No, by the Spike, a bum website, dude.
I have a trophy in my house.
I have a trophy in my house too.
No.
Yeah, I do. The Send Invitational trophy.
The best rating of the tournament. Brian pANcada Luna. Champs 2022 MVP. And Sentinel's bench.
There's been lots of talk, of course, on the pANcada side on what his future is going to be. Is he, too good of a player to sit on Sentinel's bench? Sure, maybe if Sen have some struggles, they need to take some steps, then fair enough, they could bring pANcada in somewhere, but I'm not really sure that I see that, especially on recent evidence. I imagine pANcada is going to be on the bench there for some time to come, which maybe isn't the end of the world, but it definitely depends on what happens elsewhere. We know full well that Leviathan, for example, they are getting rid of Nosra, we believe. We heard links to Com, but there's also been talk, well, could you get pANcada in there? Would that make sense alongside Aspas? That could potentially make the team significantly better, and I think it would be good for pANcada. So thought that was pretty funny, but obviously confirming that at least the plan for pANcada for the time being is not to make that glorious return, if it even happens anytime soon at the very least, at least with the Sentinels organization. Now, lots of questions though on what's going to happen with these other rosters. We've seen Sentinels in action, we've seen what they've done. They've won the Africa TV tournament, incredibly impressive. We saw Lev win that Superdome tournament, was it a while ago, that they took the victory and they looked pretty impressive there, but, you know, they think they can get even better, I suppose. Not good enough. I guess they thought they performed, and now they want to take one step further going into the new year. But we've seen impressive performances in various teams around the world so far, Sentinels especially, but in the Americas, how good are these other teams going to be? Who's going to compete at the top of the league? You know, how good are NRG going to be? How good are 100 Thieves going to be? Because many of those teams taking pieces from the World Championship winning EG roster that most tend to believe is probably going to be near the bottom in terms of competitiveness. So lots of talk on this from FNS and from Ethan, really, on the future of these rosters. The talks about Ethan and the NRG guys in general, how that's going to work, how the team composition is going to work. Ethan gives some comments on, well, you know, the team's very versatile in the roles that are going to be deployed, what Demon 1's going to do. Marv gets to play the smokes, and, you know, I think there's a lot of positives in terms of the way that NRG roster has been built. But Ethan also with a few comments on the 100T roster. We know that Boostio is going to come in there. He's kind of the final missing piece of that roster. EU's coming in as well. Asna, Bang, Cryo rounding out the team. That's the present belief, at least. But, you know, NRG confirmed their roster already, and Boostio hasn't done yet. And I'm guessing that the rumors were true, that Boostio's contract with EG runs out in early January, because that can be realistically the only explanation here, right? The Boostio is like still under contract, and therefore when he's gone, he's going to just leave and 100T are going to sign him, and therefore there's no buyout involved. That's the only real explanation I can imagine for why it hasn't been announced yet, because it's been known now for so long, and even Ethan says in this clip that they knew that they were probably going to NRG for a long time. It was just a matter of getting the negotiations through to make that deal happen. So 100T Boostio is not really in question. The question is, are they actually going to be any good?
Will Boostio work with 100 Thieves? I think if they respect him and respect his ideas, but also help him, yes. If they fully rely on him to fix every problem, no. Dude, a team doesn't function with one leader teaching everybody how to play. We're way past that at the tier 1 level. Everyone knows how to play the game. It's about finding that synergy and helping each other, and then having like a player like Boostio kind of bring everything together as the leadership figure. But everyone has to help, you know, with ideas and mid-rounding and stuff. Like, I know I get a lot of credit for my calls in Valorant, or like in like NV, Optic, whatever, or even NRG, but I would not have been able to make those calls if I didn't get the information from Victor Crashies, or even suggestions from Victor Crashies. All of them, actually. Sam, Artis, Ye, Marv, all of them did a really good job of like feeding me info, but also suggesting ideas that I would then say yes to or no to. So every team has to be like that to succeed.
Like I said, I'm looking dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah. What are other good teams in America's League based off what you know about the rosters?
Me?
I think EG is going to be dangerous.
Easy.
I think Leviathan. I think Sentinels. I think Boostio is only good because of me, so that team might crumble. How roles work? I mean, it's the same. No one's really changing anything. It's just Max on Duelist, Vic if we need another Duelist, me on like Flex Initiator, Austin on Flex Initiator, and then Jimmy plays Smokes most maps. Thing with our team is we have a lot of flexibility. Like a week after we won champs, we kind of all knew how things were going. It's not like it was just out of the blue, like, oh, Energy offered me, you know, and it was like just transferred over.
FNS, of course, also with some interesting comment as to the way you might expect that team to perform. Certainly saying that when he in-game leads, it's not just a one-man job. You know, it's not just himself saying, you know, what the team is going to be doing. It's input from the rest of the team as well. He can't just make all the calls on his own. He needs his teammates, Victor Crashies, of course, that are still on NRG, very vocal players in their own right, to say, all right, like, this is happening on my site. This is happening on my site. What do you think about it, FNS? Do we want to do this? What about if I try pushing long? Or what about this? And FNS says, well, not really sure about that. Let's do this instead. Or he says, actually, you know what, Victor, that's a good strat. Let's run that next rounds. You know, you come here, and then let's make that happen, right? So, you know, it's not just a one-man job, the in-game leading. You need a vocal set of teammates to give you ideas, give you input, and then FNS can use the massive brain to figure out, you know, what ideas to actually deploy in those circumstances, and of course chat with the coach and stuff in the timeouts as well. So the same applies elsewhere, and this is what Ethan is potentially getting at with Boostio. Now, of course, he's joking around a bit, right? He's like, oh, Boostio's going to be terrible, the team's going to crumble, and all this stuff. Like, look, they won the champs together. I'm sure they got along, but at the same time, Ethan is potentially saying that I was a more important part of the IGLing role and the leadership and the communication, everything like that on the team than Ethan maybe gets credit for, because people gave Boostio a lot of credit for good reason, but Ethan's maybe saying, look, I was also a big part of why we had a lot of success. Now he's going to be doing that job on his own, basically, on the NRG roster going forward, and, well, he's saying that Boostio maybe on 100T won't have that same set of results, especially as FNS potentially believes if he's with players that aren't as vocal as maybe Ethan is. So I think all the storylines kind of coalesce somewhat to raise the question as to how well that team is going to work. However, all things considered, looking at the potential in-game leaders that 100T could have gone for, the fact that they had Stella last year that wasn't really working, I think they've done the best they realistically could have done getting Boostio, and he proved to be, a great player, and hopefully it worked out very well with him and 100T going forwards, because I want that organization to be a force again in the Valorant world, which has not been the case for some time. But, Boostio can't do that job all on his own. He's going to need vocal, communicative teammates around him that he had on EG, and there's questions maybe from Ethan as to whether they're going to be able to deliver the same level of success when they go one step further. Of course, as Chet says and clarified on December the 23rd, that Ethan's going to be, the IGL, no doubt about that. So very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Just one final thing to close out with. I know there was talk about the fact that some of the, the team logos for these players aren't exactly perfect, but, old habits, I suppose, die hard. But as Will Minder says, players who average the most kills per round on Ascent, the map that is still staying in the pool. Somewhat controversially so, of course. Many pros would say, nah, Ascent should have gone, Haven should have stayed, and all this, instead of Icebox, of course, we're just making the return in. But this is all-time VCT stats. Most kills per 24 rounds on Ascent, so this is your expected kills if a game fully goes the distance on Ascent, minimum 100 rounds. So Demon 1 tops the lot quite substantially, averaging 23, so maybe NRG will be kind of happy about this. Then Ye, Alpha, Jampy, of course, CNED, Kesnit, Scream, Aspas, Durko, and Cowanzun closing out the list, which is very interesting. Couple of players here from various teams, of course. Louder represented, Fnatic represented, but Demon 1 heading up the lot, especially because Ye now on Bleeds, but Ye was previously with those same guys. Lots of Jet representation here as well, so maybe NRG aren't going to be so unhappy about this particular change. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.